Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We will start our webinar very shortly. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're all doing well and staying healthy wherever you are. Welcome to the Weaving Tales webinar presented to you by the ASEAN Foundation and the Maybank Foundation. My name is Chi. I am a program intern at the ASEAN Foundation, and I am honored to be your MC for today. To glimpse you a little bit with the background of this webinar, in early 2016, Maybank Group initiated the Maybank Women Eco Weavers program to honor women's great contribution to ASEAN cultural heritage of weaving, as well as to promote the sustainable preservation of traditional textiles while creating economic independence and financial inclusion for women weavers across ASEAN. And to extend its values louder, in early 2020, Maybank Foundation and ASEAN Foundation launched the Weaving Tales short story competition and have received nearly 500 entries from remarkable authors across ASEAN. It was a very pleasant journey to witness and to spread awareness of one of the oldest cultural heritage that has now become the cultural identity of ASEAN that we all wear with pride, the weaving culture. And today, to show our earnest appreciation of all women weavers who preserves this ancient culture and the participating writers who have shared their heartfelt stories about weaving culture, the ASEAN Foundation and Maybank Foundation proudly presents the Weaving Tales webinar with the theme Preserving Tradition, Embracing Diversity, and Empowering Women. Today, we would also like to re-announce the winners of the short story competition to honor their participation and passion. Okay, before we start the webinar, there are some housekeeping matters that I would like to share to you. First of all, this event will be recorded and live streamed on the ASEAN Foundation's YouTube channel. Secondly, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, which can be found in your Google Meets control panel below. We will share the e-certificates to only those who have submitted an evaluation survey, which will be shared at the end of the webinar. Moreover, please keep your microphones muted when the panelists are speaking. Okay, now without any further ado, we would love to get this webinar started with opening remarks from the representatives of the Maybank Foundation and ASEAN Foundation. First, please welcome Mr. Khairuddin Abdul Rahman, the CEO of Maybank Foundation, to share an enlightening remarks. Mr. Khairuddin Abdul Rahman will be delivering his remarks for today through a recording video due to some connectivity issues, but we warmly welcome him for joining us here today.
As we mark the conclusion, a very good morning to everybody. I hope you all keeping yourself safe and healthy. As we mark the conclusion of the Weaving Tales short story competition and celebrate the winners, we are reminded that stories are powerful connectors, transcending across borders and divides. Stories are passed down from one generation to another. The same can be said for our shared culture heritage, weaving. Southeast Asia is a home to a treasure trove of hand-woven textiles. Similar to storytelling, traditional textiles speak volumes about their nations of origin. The textiles provide a timeless link to a country's identity and narrative. And while we admire the beauty and design, it is also important to recognize women's contribution to the ancient art. We come from low-income backgrounds and are truly underappreciated for their crafts. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated many of the challenges the women are already facing. The lesson is clear. We need to address these challenges so that we can better support our women's weavers. Lastly, congratulations to all the winners of the Weaving Tales short story competition. I was blown away by the creativity shown in the winning entries. Each story was different in style, from a touching story about Jong Sarat weaving to a more factual content about weaving and its contribution. It was encouraging to read the love that the people of ASEAN have to our shared heritage reflected in the stories. I hope you found today's webinar informative and enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khairuddin Abdul Rahman, for your wonderful and inspiring remarks. Next, I would like to invite the Executive Director of ASEAN Foundation, Dr. Yang Mien, to the screen and share some inspirations to the audiences today. Dr. Yang Mien, please, the screen is now yours.
Thank you, Chi. Mr. Khairuddin Abdul Rahman, CEO of Maybank Foundation, Ms. Jacqueline Fong, founder of Tanoti Crafts from Malaysia, Ms. Bobby Wasintavong, Director of Marbury's from Laos, Ms. Teresia Ramde, talented author and poet from Indonesia. Aspiring writers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon to all of you. Please allow me to convey my deepest appreciation to all of you who take the time out of your busy schedule to attend and support this webinar. Under the theme of preserving tradition, embracing future, and empowering women, we organized this webinar in partnership with Maybank Foundation as a final milestone for the Maybank Women Eco Weavers Weaving Tales short story competition. Weaving tradition is one of the most important cultural heritages in ASEAN. It is also an art form that can benefit from our youth energies and creativity. Therefore, through this webinar, as well as the short story competition, I would also like to extend my sincere appreciation to all judges for joining us in this journey and for making this competition a huge success. On that note, please allow me to make a special mention to one of the judges, Mr. Riaz Januar Putra Sehu, the Director of ASEAN Socio-Cultural Cooperation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia, who passed away on 11 August 2021. We are very blessed and fortunate to have the late Mr. Riaz in the judging panel before his untimely passing. His comprehensive and insightful was truly valuable in helping us identify the best writers. Furthermore, Mr. Riaz was also a great friend and supporter of ASEAN. Finally, I would also like to convey our gratitude to our partner, Maybank Foundation. Pak Khairuddin, welcome back again from the very turbulent, disturbing Wi-Fi service in Labuan. For your continuous, thank you very much for your continuous support in ASEAN community building. The Maybank Women Eco-Weaver program had given us a solid foundation in fostering awareness and appreciations towards the traditional art of weaving. So I hope that you will have a great time in this webinar today. Wishing you all the best and great success in the future. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yang Mien. And once again, for Mr. Khairuddin Abdul Rahman, for your insightful remarks that are very engaging and important to hear by the audience today, who I believe mostly are ASEAN youths who will continue to preserve the great weaving tradition. Moving on, before we head to the discussion with two of our great women artisans and entrepreneurs, I would like to delight everyone with a lovely performance from an Indonesian author and popular poet, Miss Theoresia Ramtha. Miss Theoresia has been producing and publishing uncountable works of poetry and stories with her writing partner. We do suggest you to check her social media pages if you're interested in poetry and writing. Today, she will perform a poem reading session for us to enjoy. Please welcome to the screen Ms. Theoresia Ramtha.
Thank you, Chi. Thank you, everyone. Good day, Pak Khairuddin. Good day, Dr. Yang. Salam kenal. Good day, everyone. Hello, my name is Theoresia Rumte. Yes, I am from Ambon, Maluku, East Indonesia, and right now I stay at my home at Ambon, Maluku. I hope all of you in a very pleasure and comfort soul. I'm very delightful for being here. Thank you, ASEAN Foundation and Maybank Foundation for these invitations. I'm going to read one of my poetry. I wrote this poetry several years ago, tentang perempuan, or about a woman, with my writing partner, Wesley Johannes. It is also appears in our book of poetry, Tempat Paling Liar di Muka Bumi. And this is for the woman out there who struggle for being herself. There is no other way besides being you and just do you. So I love your soul and enjoy the poetry. About a woman. When I was a little girl, my mom said, women are like a flower. She said that while showering me and cleaning my genital softly. This is your flower. One day it will bloom and spread its fruits into a wilderness. A man who will get in are only those who own the key and want to get lost. Then I grow as a wildwood, as secret, as mystery of the universe, with all possibility and impossibility, which preserve to the season of Pala and spread the fragrance everywhere. When I groan, while stroking my hair, my dad said, women are like a home. It has a foundations, basements, doors, windows, kitchen, and bathroom. If the parts of your body wander, they have to come home. But if they are missing, that's because you lost the key. Then one burning night, I met a red-headed blackbird. It said, women are like a hat. Their heads are made of steel. Their heart are the dews in the middle of the day. Hang between the branches, easy to lose. So I hang one of my keys on one of the stalks, hidden from the love that rose in my soul, and fanged it with fire from the word of my mother and my father, which burning in my head. Let the fire stays in your love, said father. Let the fire stays in your love, said father. With that fire, you will burn all the fakeness insides and outsides. Women become one life with sun and 3 moons, things that make her the most beautiful and hottest of all light. Thank you.
Wow, what a heartfelt poetry. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Miss Theoresia. And I'm deeply apologize for mispronouncing your name earlier. I hope that your beautiful performance can influence and inspire others to dive into the arts of literature and humanism as passionate as you are. Okay, before we start the discussion session, I would like for us to take a group photo together. So to all panelists, participants, and organizers, please activate your video screen for this photo taking session. Yes, please. I will wait for a few more seconds so people can activate their videos. Then show us your beautiful, beautiful smiles, and we can have a little souvenir in the webinar today. Thank you.
Where's me?
Okay, thank you. On the count of 3, please give us your biggest smile. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, let me just check for a few seconds if the okay, thank you so much for your very heartwarming smiles. The photos look perfect. Okay, so finally, it is time for us to hear some insights and have an open discussion with our brilliant speakers for today. This discussion session will be moderated by my lovely colleague, Priscilla. Priscilla, would you please come to the screen?
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you, Chi, for the introductions. Right. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Priscilla. I'm a program intern at ASEAN Foundation, and I'll be moderating today's discussion. So yeah, we're all having a great day, and yeah, I would like to once again welcome to our webinar. So I'm sure we all feel inspired and excited already after hearing the keynote speech and also the beautiful poem from Ms. Theoresia, right? Now, before we begin our main agenda in today's discussion, I'd like to refresh our mind first to all participants here. So I would like to invite everyone to join an ice-breaking game, which is in menti.com. So yeah, please guys, do visit menti.com and put the code, which is 78271983. All right, now let's gonna start the menti.com. Okay. All right, this is not gonna be take a long time because we only have like 5 questions. So yeah, let's just have fun, right? Okay, visit menti.com and please put the code, which is 27 and 3. All right. I think we're gonna start and see who's gonna participate in here. Okay, guys, please visit. Okay, I already see 2 people in here, 3, and yeah, people came enjoying, and yeah, please visit menti.com so we can have fun for a little time. Okay, let's see. Let's wait for the others to join the Menti quiz session. Okay. Okay, I have around, I think more than 5 people already joined, and yeah, I'm still waiting for the others. Okay. Okay, guys. Nice. All right. I see some of you already joined. Oh. All right. I think the quiz sessions. Oh, I see new people come in. Okay. I think we're going to start this quiz session, right? Okay, let's go. There are 3 questions with limit time, but there are 2 with unlimited time. But yeah, let's just start. Okay, this first question, this has time limit around 20 seconds, but yeah, just choose the answer as fast as you can. So the first question is, where's the origin of song? There are 2 correct answers, but you can just choose 1 out of 4. So please just choose 1 out of 4. Is it from Indonesia, or maybe is it from... Okay, time's up. All right. Okay, most of you answer Indonesia, and second is Malaysia, and the third is Cambodia. Well, the correct answer is Indonesia and Malaysia, but yeah, it's okay for you guys who answer incorrectly. It's okay. So basically, Songket is Indonesia, and now also preserved today in Brunei, in Singapore, and also Indonesia and Malaysia. So guys, if you are Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, and also Singapore, please be proud of Songket, because Songket is really a beautiful fabric, like the picture in the slide before, right? Okay, that's great. I think we can move to the next question.
Hello.
I'm sorry, muted. Okay, I think we're gonna start the second question. Which goal of SDGs does culture specifically note? Okay, I see most of you answered goal 4 and is goal 10. Well, it's okay. So the correct answer is goal 4. It's about quality of education, specifically in target 7. So yeah, 4.7, it calls for culture of non-violence and peace. So yeah, I think all of youth in Southeast Asia also need to be involved in preserving culture, right? Okay, now I'm gonna start the next question. Okay, the next question is, let's see. Okay, so based on below picture, what kind of weapon did Raya use in the film of Last Dragon? So yeah, the one weapon which in the Raya's hand, what kind of weapon it is? Is it spear, or maybe crabit? And yeah, this has time limit. So yeah, please just choose the one correct answer out of 4. Okay, I see some of you answered Chris. Okay, that's good. Well, the answer is Keris. Basically, Keris is a traditional weapon in Southeast Asia, and it's found in Malay tradition, and yeah, appears in Malaysia and Indonesia cultural histories. So if you guys interested in Chris, you can research more because incredible territorial weapon and it's very well known weapon in world. Okay, that's great. Okay, now we're gonna move to the next question. Okay, now let's see the third question with time limit, I think. So time limit, yeah. And if you guys pay attention with the question, you might know the correct answer. Okay, so do you guys know where our three special guests from today's webinar coming from? Is it from Indonesia, or maybe is it from DR, or maybe it's from Malaysia? Okay, up. Okay, all right, that's good. Most of you answer Indonesia, and yeah, second is Malaysia. Well, yeah, there are answer, which is Indonesia, Lapidia, and Malaysia. And of course, in the middle one, Taurusia, the one who read her beautiful poems. And yeah, the last two, I will introduce you after this. Okay, because I think that's all for the questions. Okay, now we're gonna see the leaderboard in here. Okay, I see the first is Switch. Yeah, well, wow, you're the fastest of all. That's great. That's incredible. Congratulations. So yeah, I think that's all for Wednesday quiz session. So yeah, to invite everyone to go back to the Google Meet because we're gonna begin our main agenda in today's discussion. I think everyone already here. And please, guys, if you can put your camera on that so we can see your beautiful and handsome face. And yeah, if you can, because maybe the poor connection, it's okay. And yeah, I think ready for discussion. I would like to remind, firstly, before we jump into the discussion, or to remind, yeah, first to our speakers, microphone on mute while the other speaker is presenting. And second is for the audience. Later on, if you have questions that you would like to ask to our panelists or to our keynote speakers, should they are able to stay in this webinar, and please type it in the chat box in your Google Meet panel below. Although if you wish to directly ask your question to the speakers, please wait until the Q&A session. I will give the chance to the audience to directly ask questions to our speakers today. All right. Now, I think it's time for me to introduce the inspirational minds that will be our speakers today. All right, we have two beautiful artisans today, which are going to sharing her lessons and her stories. So yeah, first we have Miss Bobby Fozintawong. Miss Bobby is the director of Mulberries in Lao PDR. Mulberries is a Lao sericulture company which empowering Lao villagers and help traditional community to keep growing. And before this, she acted as the director of Moral Fairground for around 3 years and was working in ANZ Bank for around 8 years since 1997. And now she's the general manager of Mulberries, is here with us to share her success stories and impactful lesson. So this time, Miss Bobby will talk and share about weaving beyond chronicles. So without further ado, I would like to invite Miss Bobby. Miss Bobby, without further ado, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Priscilla. Greeting, Sabaidi, everybody. Greeting from Australia, actually. I'm presenting on behalf of our organisation in Laos, talking to you, and very honoured today to be able to speak to you, and want a special thank to Maybank Foundation and ASEAN Foundation for inviting me to share with you our story today. Why Lao women were weavers in the past. Lao women were industrious and patient in their work. The community praised those with exceptional abilities to weave, and this made it easier for them to find marriage partner. A woman woven textiles became her dowry and was given to her husband's family when she married and moved to her husband's village and home. Weaving also allow women to avoid having to buy cloth in the market, saving their variable family resources. There was an old saying among Lao elders that goes, "A woman who does not know how to weave is undesirable. A woman who doesn't know when the silkworms are awake and when they sleep will not make a good wife." In other words, a woman who can't raise silk and weave does not have perseverance and isn't smart. This traditional way of thinking encouraged women to teach weaving skills to their daughters. Another motivation was that women who could not weave was not respected. In the past, in the remote villages, there were no roads to any kind. What goods villagers had for sale, they took out to the market on the horseback. Silk was a product that did not spoil and was more variable than agriculture products. The beautiful woven design were admired and were sold as a good price. So this made silk a dependable source of income for traditional people in those days. Lao women were able to produce cotton, silk themselves and were able to dye the thread naturally using dyes from leaf, roots, vines, berries, seeds. They were able to cultivate and collect themselves. Nothing had to be bought from others. Before the foreign factories and modern production methods entered Laos, Lao women in the countryside and towns relied on silk weaving because women had very few opportunities for education. There were no factories to produce silk textiles. In their free time, they learned to weave from their mothers and grandmothers in order to show society that they were industrious and knew how to persevere. After the bombing of Ho Chi Minh Trail and other Lao provinces along the border with Vietnam, many of the people who lived in that area fled as refugees to safer areas. My mother's family was one of many who fled to the capital city of Vientiane. In Vientiane, there were many women who has been desperate separated from their husband and widows and orphans who were without work because unlike men, they were unable to do heavy labour. So many women returned to weaving to make a living and earn money from their families. Some merchants who bought silk from these women to sell in the market took advantage of them. But the weaver has no other choice but to sell to them. It became necessary to create weaving associations and cooperatives to help these women sell their at fair prices. After the liberations of Laos in 1975, the government of Lao PDR provided support for cooperative associations. My mother organised 10 women who were refugees to establish a government-recognised weaving association in Phong village in 1976. A year later, number of members had increased, so our facility became overcrowded and it became necessary to have a new members weaving at their own home. This was convenient for them as they were able to care for their young children and cook for their family. The association also gave many younger women the opportunity during their school breaks to learn how to weave at no charge. The members of the Weaving Association were provided with the raw materials they needed for their weaving and expert weavers to guide them. Not only did the weavers receive expert weaving consultation, but they also were provided with training and educational field trips to visit other weavers. All these factors combined to assist women in the city and in the countryside to have regular work and to have a fair income to help care for their families. As a result, the status of women was slowly being raised in society. After the association had the right number of members, They established the Pontong Handicraft Cooperative in 1980s. As the lives of members of cooperatives slowly improved, society also began to respect these women, and women began to have a voice in their communities. Then they began to have a new vision. This new vision meant expanding the work in Siang Khouang and Hua Pan province in northeastern Laos. So the photo you saw here, you can see here, that's when we first established our centre in Siang Khouang in 1993, which was the area that my mother birthed and from where she has fled. In order to provide work for women there in silk production and rejuvenated the art of producing handicrafts and weaving. As a result, the Lao Sericulture Company, also known Mulberries, was established in 1993. After my mother and her staff were trained in sericulture in Thailand in 1994, they were able to see clearly the advantages of using sericulture techniques, new varieties of mulberry trees, and hybrid silkworm. So they brought these new technical skills, high yield mulberry trees and hybrid silkworms from Thailand to test them in our sericulture centre in Siang Khouang. After 2 years of testing, they were satisfied with the result, and they encouraged villagers to come for training to help spread the use of these techniques into the villages. We provide many training sessions in sericulture and silk weaving at the centre to the villages, supported by the government, NGOs, organisations, and foundations like Maybank. After we had distributing high-yield mulberry trees and hybrid silkworms to villages, we also sent our central staff to follow up with farmers in village and did further training there. We often choose families that did not have the land for rice production and practice upland rice cultivation. This means that many of our village members were ethnic minority peoples, refugees, and people who were otherwise disadvantaged. Because we pay wages, the silk weavers and farmers, and sold silk products at fair prices, our organisation became certified as a member of the World Fair Trade Organisation. Organic farming and using natural dyes, free of chemical that hurts the environment, are important to us. This is important for protecting the environment and health of the village silk farmers and weavers. After more than 30 years of silk weavings and raising silkworm, Mulberries are proud that we have been able to preserve and expand the ancient culture art. At the same time, we have been able to provide work to women of many different ethnic groups in the city and in the more remote countryside. This work has been in line with the government policy of Laos PDR to reduce poverty, increase gender equity, to reduce number of young women to go to the city to search for work and protect the environment. The assistance of government, international and non-government organisations like Maybank Foundation have all been a source of encouragement to us. Our co-workers and the villagers who we partner with the project and provide what was necessary for this project to achieve significant success. Looking to the future, since the beginning of our work in 1976 until the present, we are very pleased to play a part in the foundational aspect of our ancient ancestral art culture. We are so proud to see that today Lao people are again wearing silk to important social events such as the villages' ceremonies, private and official celebration of various kind. We honour those who in the past established the Museum of Ancient Lao Traditional of Silk that has been a subject of study for generations that came afterwards, an ancient that proud tradition of our ancestors. We want to express our sincere thanks to the Government of Laos as well as to the private and international organisations like Maybank Foundation, ASEAN Foundation, who have shown an interest in our work and partnering with us in promoting Southeast Asia woven textile has also helped to uplift the weavers. Our partnering with our Maybank Foundation in the Maybank Women Eco Weavers program in 2018 is like a key opening the door for us. Our weaver has been able to travel to take part in exhibitions and other experiences that have opened their eyes and empowered them. The next phase of Mulberry's work is to reinforce this message as we work towards obtaining certified diplomas for weavers that we train. This will help shift the modern perception that weaving is lowly skilled profession. But of course, my mother has already known the long time that weaving is much more than that. In her acceptance speech for the Ramon Magsaysay Award in 2015, she told the audience at the ceremony that because women in rural Laos had limited access to education and in the past they were unable to earn money that men did, but producing silk and weaving were ways of which women could make money to assist caring for their families, she said. This gave them a voice which speaks to men regarding their families and communities. Slowly, this livelihood raised the status of women in our society. My mother's efforts to create viable livelihood through weaving is driven by her deep beliefs in the importance of protecting women's voices and their equal participation in Lao society. Towards the end of her speech in Ramon Magsaysay Award ceremony, she stressed, "The things you are hearing from my heart about the rights of women, the efforts to preserve the proud heritage of silk handicrafts and the fight for women to the city to find work, these are all the things that have motivated me to pour all my abilities, body and soul, into establishing this small concern that I have led since 1976. All of this together gives me my staff, the silk producer and weavers, the encouragement we need to continue our efforts into the future. Thank you."
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bobby, for your insightful presentation. I think we all learned that from your stories is about how from cooperative enterprise, where family start Mulberry's training, also after basic production cycle, right? It's very insightful, and yeah, we all learn from your stories. And yeah, I think that's our presentation for Ms. Bobby. Thank you. Now, yeah, everyone, before we continue to I would like to remind again to our audience, please do not hesitate to write your questions on the Q&A chat box in your Google Meet panel below. And also, please feel free to introduce yourself also in the Google Meet chat below, because we are delighted to know all participants in here. And yeah, if you guys wish to directly ask questions to our artisans today, both for Miss Bobby and Miss Jacqueline, you can start preparing questions now. All right, now I'm gonna invite the second speakers today. We have Miss Jacqueline Fong. Miss Jacqueline is the founder of Tanoti Craft Malaysia. Tanoti Craft is a community that supports craft women to continuously grow crafted fabrics. This community dedicated with lives and livelihoods of women folks with rural and communities with social living. And with this we'll talk about weaving through pandemic. So please do pay attention for the stories and lessons from Jacqueline. Jacqueline, without further ado, I would like to invite you to the screen. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. And before I start, I'd like to extend my gratitude to ASEAN Foundation and Maybank Foundation for allowing me to have this forum at the Weaving Tales webinar. A little bit about Tanoti. Can we have the next slide, please? A little bit about Tanoti. Tanoti is, unlike Mulberry's, we are a very young company. We're only 9 years old. We started in 2012 when we acquired an existing weaving workshop, which was about to disband. So we started with 11 weavers, and now we have about 14. We specialize in songket, or the supplementary weaving technique. I think in Priscilla's quiz, you were right, and everyone was. Now they know that songket is found in Indonesia and in Malaysia. We started becoming partners with Maybank Foundation in 2018 when they funded a small activity of ours, a fashion show in Kuala Lumpur. And then we signed up with a partnership with Maybank Eco Weavers a year after. We are very pleased to be able to partner with them, and we would like to say they were instrumental in us going or tiding through the pandemic. Okay, the next slide, please. The chronology of our life. We started in 2012. We decided that we wanted to be purist, and we undertook every part of our weaving using hand. We wanted to have exposure, so we participated in events outside. We were at Paris Fashion Week in 2016, and that was a landmark for us. 2018, we partnered with Maybank Foundation. In 2019, the Malaysian Ministry of Entrepreneur Development certified the company as a accredited social enterprise. And what was very difficult that happened after that was in 2020, and COVID struck. So we are in our 15th month of COVID, and we did not want to be a community that was going to give up. So we had to decide what we were going to do. And today I will present to you 6 activities that we have done in the time of COVID. The challenges that we had were incredible. In the first 5 months, there was a MCO, the movement control order. It was a total stop of operations. We suffered from cancellation of orders. There were pop-up events that were cancelled. There was indeed concerns for cash flows. But overall, with the part of the weavers, we all had, as a community, we had concerns for our health and well-being. There was a lack of interaction with friends and families. Our weavers generally live here at Tanoti House, so they board with us, and because of movement control, they couldn't move around, and everyone was here, and there was a lack of weaving projects because we didn't get very many orders. So what we decided to do was to be more proactive rather than to have to fight the pandemic. The first thing that we do, the next slide, was PPE production. We decided that because we had skills with the sewing machine, we would be able to produce PPE, and frontliners needed it very much. We are living in Kuching, Sarawak, which is an island, and logistics was very difficult. So frontliners did not have access to PPE a lot of times. So since March 2020 until now, we have supplied almost 100,000 pieces of PPE garments to healthcare frontliners. And we decided that everybody needed it. If anybody wanted to do it, they could. We publish our sewing templates and manuals online for everyone to download for free. So we have been doing it every couple of months. When there's a new outbreak where cases were high, we continued to do it. So every couple of months, that's what happened. We would receive a request, and we would just go on and produce PPE. Can we have the next slide? So because we were Ministry of Finance approved social enterprise, we were able to secure donations, and the donations were tax exempted, and that allowed us to continue our work swiftly, and more than 100 donors came in with amounts big and small. In the next slide, I will show you a PPE report that we did in day 30 of our project. For the past 30 days, we strive to protect frontliners with PPE. As more and more people are brought to the front lines, more PPE is demanded, and we strived every day to match demand with supply.
Kita perlukan mask, kita perlukan gloves, kita perlukan cover, kita perlukan face shield juga.
The objective of any PPE project is that PPE is able to be delivered to frontliners when they require it. $115 separate donations were received, raising more than $160,000. 55% of this money was spent on fabric, 28% on labor, and 6% on sewing tools and supplies. We have 108 individuals signed up with us to produce PPE garments, and more coming to volunteer every day. With such overwhelming support for the cause, we have the capability to increase our PPE supplies.
Apa yang menarik dalam PPE project yang kami jalankan, kami tidak menyada bangsa dan agama, mempunyai peranan masing-masing dalam menghasilkan shipment yang untuk diberi kepada frontliner, yang mana kita punya satu objektif bekerjasama dalam menghasilkan peralatan ataupun equipment yang diperlukan.
However, due to material scarcity, we have to optimize our resources and minimize wastage by innovating the existing PPE with feedback from frontliners for what actually works best for them. We also laid out the block patterns with instructions for our volunteers so that they can easily understand how to cut and sew them together. These designs were also made accessible to the world so that more people can use them.
Because of the width, we cannot fit everything, we have to use this. So the entire roll can actually be used.
To all the beautiful people connected to us in this PPE project, the collaborators, the sewers, we promise to stay firm in our fight against COVID-19 so that you can too. Thank you. This report was done 1 month into our project, and even till today we are producing PPE because we can. Our second project is we wanted to produce textile art. We wanted to have an uplifting mood with our weavers, and we decided to choose the phoenix rising from the flames because it is our fighting spirit to emerge triumphant from severe challenges, and it was indeed very, very dreary, the economic landscape. We decided that we had time, so we experimented and we merged different textile techniques. Weavers or weaving enthusiasts in this webinar would be able to understand the kind of techniques that we adopted. We had tapestry weaving, warp painting, and then we also applied Sarawak songket weaving. Amisha is a new graduate from Maybank Women Eco Weavers. She graduated in June of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and we recruited her to weave this. It was the most difficult thing she ever did in her life, and we decided that we will make a video to chronicle its making. So you can access this video of Amisha making the songket textile art piece Phoenix from the Flames. The next pandemic project for the rest of our weavers was actually to experiment with leather. And we decided to produce an entire collection of leather fashion. We have never woven using anything other than yarns before. We thought, if leather, looks like a cord, we could actually weave it. So we decided to make leather weaves, and we circulated with our pieces for celebrities or influencers to wear. We are proud to have been able to supply to Elena Morang, who is a Malaysian singer, and she had worn it in her music video Warrior Spirit, and the music video actually won awards, and some of the awards are costume awards. So we are very pleased that that happened. Next slide, please. And with our leather, we also participated in fashion shows online. We submitted our leather fashion for 2 fashion shows, International Digital Fashion Week and Aspara Fashion Week. So in the next slide, we are going to show you a video of our leather weaves that we submitted to International Digital Fashion Week, which is based in New York. And because we were involved in several fashion weeks, we realized that there was a huge injustice to fashion towards the hand-woven cloth. And when we viewed through international fashion weeks, very little emphasis was on woven cloth, and we pitched to Maybank Foundation to undertake a fashion week which only center stages the hand-woven fabric of Southeast Asia. And we are now it's a work in progress. We are now in the process of undertaking this project. The virtual event will be held on the 15th of October, and we already have 41 confirmed weaving communities and representing 8 ASEAN nations. So we are very excited to be able to do this, from here in Malaysia, and we are also very excited that Mulberry's is in. So thank you very much, Bobby. And we hope that it's a success and that the world will be able to recognize the beauty of the hand-woven cloth. Our last initiative is music. We noticed that our weavers are very agitated because they can't take leave, they can't go back to their villages without a police permit. You know, there was a death in one of the families from old age, and it was hard for the weaver to go home to the funeral, and we wanted to uplift again. So we decided that we'll make a music, a music composition or a musical or from the weaving instruments. So we only just started this project, and I've got a video here of our second practice. It's not very good, but hopefully we will be able to produce some good music from weaving. And this is our last initiative. So please enjoy it. Well, as you can see, they were all very surprised that they managed to do it. But to us at Tanoti, we think that it's a business strategy experiment. We want to be able to see if we could diversify the weaver's income to a point where she will perform her craft to an audience which is not a conventional audience for her. So we don't know, maybe after the pandemic, they can make new careers. We'll see. But thank you very much. So these are the 6 initiatives that we have done. We believe that productivity is always the best medicine to get through the pandemic. We do not want to believe that it's all doom and gloom. So we hope that regardless of which, actually, we hope that the pandemic will be over soon so that we can actually enjoy weaving and enjoy our lifestyle and daily lives after weaving. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. That's a very incredible presentation from Miss Fong. Thank you, Miss presentation. That I'm really interested to see all of us, which is that camera on, is saying with smile for all the videos in here, especially the fashion and the music one, because I think those two are the most interesting video of all. So thank you, Miss, for your lesson and also for your presentation. That learned that maybe we all learned that how the pandemic is push us productive, because as you conclude that productivity is the best medicine through the pandemic, right? Yeah, all right. I think that's the presentation from our two artisans today. So thank you, Miss Bobby and Miss Jacqueline, because now start our Q&A sessions. So everyone, I will give the first is two people to ask directly to our panelists here. So before we start the Q&A session, I would like to invite those who want to directly ask your questions to our panelists, especially who is eager to ask directly to our bright mind speakers, to Ms. Jacqueline and Ms. Bobby. Please just click the raise hand Google Meet setting below. All right, I think before, in meantime, while we're waiting for the participant to ask directly, I would like to ask questions to Ms. Bobby and Ms. Jacqueline. So this question is from the participants from the registration form. So first question for Ms. Bobby. So the question is, there is always a gap between the weavers and the consumers. So I am an advocate for eco-friendly as well as fair trade products. But as a consumer in ASEAN region, that fair trade is not much mentioned. And how can this be improved? Of weavers in the ASEAN region. So Ms. Bobby, I think this question is for you. Answer the question.
The question was, sorry, can you something about fair trade?
Yeah, how to, as a consumer in ASEAN region, how fair trade is not much mentioned, and how can this be improved in weavers in Southeast Asia region?
It needs to, the story of each weaver, as we know, that each piece that we weave has a life, has it belongs to someone. It comes from the heart. So when we talk about fair trade, we need to connect the consumer, educating those consumers to understand what it means, what for one particular piece woven, how long it takes, and how many people are involved. We can't just look at fair trade to see as, okay, it might be a bit higher price than other products, or maybe cost a little bit more when we say fair trade, because people will look at that way. But the story behind the weavers has to also come, not just fair trade, but also the piece that are being produced also comes from their heart, from who produced it. Like for our example, our scarf, one scarf that we produce in Mulberries involves more than 20 people, from the grower from the mulberry trees to the person raising the silkworm, to the spinners, for the reelers, from the natural dyes, and from the weavers coming out to different stages has involved different people. So the fair trade, with fair trade, I think we need to be able to work with the fair trade. I don't know, I suppose each country would have association with fair trade or World Fair Trade to be able to educate. And I think World Fair Trade also play, as being a member of World Fair Trade, they also try to promote all the crafts, also whether Asian fair trade or international fair trade are working towards that. And for myself, I used to promote fair trade in Australia, in Moral Fairground, for example. It's about educating the consumer. It's about bringing that story into the consumer to understand what is involved in one of the piece that they purchase, or the product, or the scarf, or the textile that they purchase. So being able to tell that story and being able to educate the consumer how it's produced and where it's made and who's involved and what benefit that they will give when they purchase that product. Yes.
Okay, interesting answer. So yeah, I think from your answer, story is have some impactful impact, of course, good impact for the others, right? And yeah, thank you for answer. And yeah, I have also the second question for Miss Jacqueline. It is current question from the participant registration form, and the question is how to encourage or offer incentives the youth to be more interested in the traditional weaving and culture. So yeah, that's the question. You may answer the question, Miss Jacqueline.
Sorry, the line was breaking. I could not hear your question properly.
It's okay. Yeah, the question is, I'm gonna repeat it. The question is how to encourage or offer insight to be more interested in the traditional weaving and culture.
We are a young company in that a lot of our weavers are young. Our oldest weaver is 32 or 33. So we need to connect with this kind of demographic. And our idea is actually to make weaving sexy. You know, they have to want to come and weave instead of working in a factory, or they have to come and weave instead of, becoming a waitress in a restaurant. So we have to show them the ability to progress and the ability to have fun in their work, which is what we have been trying to do in the pandemic, much more than in a normal day. But it was, we also attend exhibitions abroad, and also thanks to Maybank, we have flown over for Maybank exhibitions 2 times already, and it's very aspirational for young girls who have never even taken a passport to be able to fly and perform their craft or showcase their craft. That's what we do to attract young girls to weave.
Okay, right. Thank you for your answer. Interesting answer, Miss. So yeah, because we are waiting for I see there are collaborate invitation. That's great. That's great. And yeah, in meantime, still waiting for the questions from the participants. I also want to ask them again to Miss Bobby. So Miss Bobby, the question is, how do you see the development of weaving culture in the future? Yeah.
I think weaving in the future for us, like even for Mulberry, speaking for Mulberries, is weaving needs to be recognised. Because, in Laos, weaving there's still no school. There's still no textile school. So a weaver can still not be recognised for her weaving. Nice fashion, right? Textile in other countries. In Laos, we still haven't got a fashion school or a textile school. So I think weaving for us, going forward, the future for weavers in Laos, we want to bring that up. We want to be able to give accreditation to weavers, whether they're getting a certificate or diploma. It's just bringing up, not being seen as weaving as a secondary, or it's just a hobby type of job. Yeah, they can make income. They can make a career out of this. Where they move on, because each weaver, okay, then there may not high education that we recognise, like a doctor or a lawyer, but a weaver with the creativity skills that they have. Some people just look at a picture and be able to weave that. That's incredible. I think it needs to be recognised, and we want to see that going forward.
All right, thank you for the answer. Yeah, I agree that we need to push forward about weaving culture in Southeast Asia, right? Because the culture itself is not promoted at maximum, right? So yeah, I hope with this webinar, all of us participants, in meantime, especially participants here, are more have knowledge about in Southeast Asia. Right, thank you, Ms. Bobby, for your answer. And next, I also have the questions for Ms. Jacqueline. So yeah, we're gonna switch. Yeah, Ms. Jackie, the question is, how is the coherency of weaving traditions and the students? Is there any way, probably already existed, or what should we do in the future to bring awareness and recognition of weaving to students? So yeah, it's about students. You answer the question.
I think like Bobby, it's quite a travesty that textile weaving is not taught in schools. This is the culture that we own, as Malaysians, and students do not have the benefit of learning their culture in schools. I don't know whether this is the right forum, but maybe the ASEAN Foundation could tell all the ASEAN countries to put craft or textile weaving into their core curriculum. There are several countries in the world that have already done so. Sweden, Finland, and why not countries in Southeast Asia where we are still very culturally endowed. So where we come in, my organization or my firm, is where students are out of school already, and you have to do so much work to embed the interest in them and the identity towards their culture. It's tough. We are a couple of decades too late, I think. There will be attrition. That's why weaving is seen as a sunset industry. But all is not lost. We could actually arrest the decline now by infusing this as a core curriculum in all our schools.
Okay, that's interesting about curriculum, right? Yeah, I think, and of course, Indonesia is also not very promoted well in weaving culture. So yeah, I think in this webinar we all learned that weaving needs to be promoted more, right, in the future. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you, Miss Jackie, for your answer. Now I'm gonna ask again to Miss Bobby. Yeah, Miss Bobby, we have curated question from the registration form. The question is, in view of ever-changing times, should we acknowledge the modernizations and possible changes in ASEAN culture that may be brought by new mindsets of ASEAN youth, or should we encourage continuing to preserve tradition and resist change instead?
If I couldn't hear you properly, but I think I understand what question is. Is it to promote through more youth, or promote the culture, preserve the culture? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, in the modernization, yeah.
I believe that it needs to go both, because if we don't promote to the youth right now, we can't keep the older weaver going forever. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be both. So that's why since 2017 or 16, we've been working with a technical school near our farm that promoting not just weaving, but also in sericulture, in production of silk as well. So we encourage younger generation to come forward, because, as you know, older generation will not going to be here to weave for us. The skills that they have, that they've passed down from their grandparents to their parents, from their grandparents to their parents and to them, is no longer going to be able to continue on if we don't start working with the younger generation. So I do encourage, and we will encourage younger generation to like Jackie said, to be included the curriculum into school, so that they have that choice, and a recognition of what they're doing as well, to carry forward, not just a skill that they receive from their parents or grandparents. We want it to be a career for them going forward. Yeah, so we want to recognize and being able to make the continuation of not just stopping at my parents or my grandmother, but being able to weave. Like, for example, if I was still living in Laos and not coming abroad, I would still be weaving. As you can see, one of my photo there, my mum taught me how to weave when I was 5 years old. But because I didn't continue on, that stops there. And I probably can just weave plain weaving compared to some of my friends who maybe, been weaving until now, has been able to weave more of the more intricate weaving than myself. So it needs to continue, especially with the younger generation, for the youth.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Agree.
What do you think, Jackie? You can add that too.
Yeah,
Jackie.
I am very guided by Gandhi. India was importing a lot of fabric, and while they import a lot of fabric, a lot of poor people remain poor, and the hardcore poor in India at that time was horrendous. And then Gandhi decided to wear khadi. He would only wear khadi. He would only wear hand-spun, handloom fabric, because he was a thought leader, right? He wanted people to understand that if you were to wear your own fabric from your own people, you are actually helping them get out of poverty. And Gandhi died so long ago, but his truth remains till now. How else are you going to help people who are economically challenged if you don't support them? That's what I think. And weaving has to continue. Weaving has to continue. When something is passed down from generation to generation, it becomes more and more valuable, as an IP or intangible asset. And if you lose that, you lose the ability of so many people to earn money. Many. So yeah, we need to, I think, Maybank Foundation did choose a very good cause. Indeed.
I see.
Totally agree. Totally agree, Jackie.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Bobby and Ms. Jacqueline, for your answer. And yeah, we have last question in here from the registration form. I think Ms. Bobby and Ms. Jacqueline, the question is, could it be that there is a modern weaving and traditional weaving? It is interesting question. How far is the difference to cultivate the modern weaving to adjust with traditional weaving? You may answer the question.
Well, we like traditional weaving. We like the traditional loom. We like the fact that everything that we work on does not require electricity. But we know that there is a movement towards automated looms and high-tech mills using fantastic jacquard looms. And I believe this is a world where we can coexist. There is enough people who like A and enough people who like B. And our objective, we are custodians of A. We are custodians of the hand-woven fabric, and we hope that there will be enough of it for the ecosystem to continue to exist.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jackie. And Ms. Bobby, how about your opinion about how to cultivate with modern weaving to adjust with traditional weaving? Is there any? Yeah.
I agree with Jackie. I mean, it needs to coexist. You can't, as weaving, you see these days, I mean, even in Laos, there's weaving that being copied using machine, or weaving, traditional weaving that we can still see. It's totally different though. It's the different, I think education will be a big part, For me, for example, I'm not an expert weaver, but an expert weaver could tell whether that piece is a copy piece or this piece is actually handmade, I think educating and being able to preserve the traditional as well would help to maintain and preserve what we want to continue in the future. And I think it's going to be harder and harder to find traditional weaving. I don't know. What do you think, Rocky? It's getting harder, I think, to find weavers that can weave some of the pieces. Like I've been to, for example, the Powerhouse Museum or the museum in Canberra, where they preserve some of our old textile that from Laos that they've collected. And some of those weaving textile is no longer in Laos, so I think that the technique they were using in weaving at that time, it has changed. But I think going forward, I like to see both the traditional continue, but also new ideas of techniques that can be used in their weaving to coexist with each other going forward. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the insightful answer, Miss Bobby and Miss Jackie. And yeah, because our Q&A session already elapsed, and thank you very much for your answer and for your feedbacks from these questions that I give. And yeah, before we close to today's discussion, can Miss Bobby give some closing speech, right? Like your advice to here might be your advice to this youth in here. Might be Miss Bobby first.
My advice for the younger generation, I think, is to continue. Otherwise, we would not have weaving or our traditional of weaving in the future. We would lose it if we don't preserve it. I think it's to also learn from the older generation. I think the technique, the skill that they're using, whether not just weaving, but also the techniques like natural dyes, things like that. We are encouraging to go back to what our previous generation has used, what works and what doesn't work, and also to be able to use the old and the new together to move forward and create a design that will continue to what's the word? Continue to respect what our previous generation have created, but also have your own idea with it as well. Yeah. So to coexist with each other. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your advice, Miss Bobby. And Miss Jackie, do you have closing advice to all this?
I want to I don't really want to give advice, but I want to engage you in some imagery, right? When a weaver weaves something hand woven, she has touched every strand of yarn by hand. Every single yarn of a hand woven piece is touched by her hand. So the fabric or the piece of clothing that you are wearing has such a long birth process. It's birth yarn by yarn and touch by touch. And there's no other article of clothing in the world, in the manufactured world, that you can actually have this privilege of having a soul in your garment. And it's a joy that we enjoy now. We hope that this joy can continue to be enjoyed by, generations beyond. The joy of having a clothing have a birth process that is beautiful and inspirational. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So buy hand woven. Please buy hand woven. You must buy hand woven. because of this. So,
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Miss Jack. Last speech. And yeah, if you guys put for all these in here, participants in here, yeah, because our Q&A has finished, I would like to close the Q&A session. And thank you very much, everyone who have participated in the Q&A session. If you guys have more questions, you can ask through email to ASEAN Empowering Youth emails, or through ASEAN Foundation. Feel free to ask your question. And yeah, the presentation from our speakers today, we will send it to your email. And yeah, so be assured, don't worry. And yeah, and I would like to thank you for Miss Bobby and Miss Jackie for your wonderful presentation and for your time. And we hope this webinar, including me, to take your part in creating and preserving traditions, culture, including with Asia, Southeast Asia, and also empowering women's role. So now, because our finished, without hanging on the screen any longer, I would like to pass it back to Chi. Please, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Priscilla, for smoothly moderating this discussion session. And thank you, our speakers and also our audiences for the rich discussion. Miss Bobby and Miss Jackie, if you have any social media pages or somehow to contact, maybe you should put it in the messages. I see a lot of our participants here were very impressed with your work in the two respective countries and would love to get involved in your respective projects in the future. So yeah, audiences, we are almost at the end of our webinar. We would love to hear your feedbacks and opinions of what you have experienced. Please share your feedback through the link as shown on the screen. I will also share this link on the chat. All right. Wait, let me get the link. We will leave a few minutes for you to fill in on this evaluation survey. And while waiting for the participants to fill in the survey, I would love to introduce to everyone the most remarkable writers across ASEAN, which are the winners of the Weaving Tales short story competition. Now, before we announce the winners, we would like to extend our gratitude and earnest appreciation to our exceptional panel of judges for this competition, including two of our remarkable speakers today. Ms. Bobby Voshinthavam from Muberries, Laos. Ms. Jacqueline Fong from Tanoti Crafts, Malaysia. Also, Ms. Ngorn Vanta from Curl Silk, Cambodia. Ms. Adi Nindia from Teras Mitra, Indonesia. Dr. Rosalia Ciortino from Southeast Asia Junction. And the last, with especially greatest honor and sadly our deepest condolences, Mr. Riaz Janua Putra Sehu, Director of ASEAN Social Culture Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Republic of Indonesia to ASEAN. Thank you, our panel of judges. Now, let's welcome to the screen our Weaving Tales short story competition winners.
Excuse me, everyone. I'm sorry, Chi, you still muted. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, you may go.
Congratulations to all the winners. Your stories really stood out and made a great impression on our judges. I hope you can use your amazing writing talents to deliver more meaningful stories in the future. Now with the awards announced, we have reached the end of our webinar today. We would like to once again express our deepest appreciation to Maybank Foundation for their tremendous supports. Likewise, it has been an honor to have Ms. Theoresia Rumte, Ms. Bobby Boshintavong, Ms. Jacqueline Fong as our distinguished speakers today. And thank you again, Dr. Yang Yang and Mr. Khairuddin Abdul Rahman, for your powerful remarks. Last but definitely not least, we would like to thank you all to our participants for your attendance and for your great engagement in this webinar. I hope you have enjoyed your time with us. We would definitely love to see you again in our upcoming events. Please follow us on ASEAN Foundation and Maybank Foundation social media handles so that you don't miss out on any of our interesting events in the future. Wish you a great day today. Please stay safe and healthy. Thank you and see you.